Captain woke up with the worst headache of his life. His mouth tasted like metal, and his eyes refused to focus properly. The ceiling above him spun in slow circles. He tried to remember what happened, but his mind felt full of fog. "Captain," a weak voice called from somewhere nearby. "Captain, are you awake?" Turned his head slowly. The movement made his stomach roll with nausea. His second officer lay on the floor 3 meters away. The young man's face looked pale and sweaty. What happened?" managed to say. His tongue felt too thick for his mouth. "I don't know, sir. I just woke up a few minutes ago." Forced himself to sit up. The bridge of the Morning Star looked normal. All the lights glowed their usual colors. The displays showed standard information. Nothing seemed broken or damaged, but something felt very wrong. He checked his watch. The date made him freeze. 36 hours had passed. 36 hours he could not remember at all. "Wake everyone up," ordered. "Check if everyone is alive, then check the ship from top to bottom." The crew of 12 slowly came back to consciousness. All of them felt sick and confused. None of them remembered anything after their normal dinner 2 nights ago. The ship's doctor, a woman named, examined everyone. She found no injuries, no signs of violence, just the headaches and the missing time. But the ship had moved. The navigation logs showed the Morning Star had traveled through 2 different systems while the crew slept. The automatic systems had flown the ship perfectly. Someone had programmed a route and let the computers do the work. Sent out a distress signal immediately. Within hours, a patrol ship from the Galactic Trade Council arrived. The Council controlled all the trade routes in this part of space. They made the laws. They investigated crimes, or at least they were supposed to. The patrol ship sent over an inspector. His name was, and he looked like a giant slug with 4 arms. His skin had a wet, gray shine that made uncomfortable. Moved slowly around the bridge, barely looking at anything. "Technical malfunction," said after only 10 minutes. His voice sounded bored. "Your life support system leaked a gas, made you all sleep. Very simple. Happens sometimes with human ships." But the navigation logs started to protest. "Your computer continued following the last route program," interrupted. "Also normal. Human systems are not very advanced. I will file a report. You may continue your journey." "We were unconscious for 36 hours, said firmly. "Someone could have boarded our ship. We need a full investigation." Multiple eyes blinked slowly. "Boarded? Why would anyone board a human cargo ship? You carry simple goods, food packages, medical supplies, nothing valuable to thieves." He waved one of his 4 arms dismissively. "The Council has many important cases. We cannot waste time on every technical problem." "This wasn't a technical problem," said. She held up her medical scanner. "I found traces of a sedative gas in the air filters. It's not from our life support. Someone pumped it into our ship from the outside." Barely glanced at the scanner. "Human equipment often gives false readings. Very unreliable. My decision stands. Case closed." He moved toward the door. "Be grateful you are all alive. Next time, maintain your systems better." The slug-like alien left without another word. Wanted to argue more, but he knew it was useless. The Council never took human complaints seriously. Earth was new to the galactic community. Humans had no power, no influence. Other species treated them like children playing at being space travelers. The Morning Star continued its journey. Filed his own report with Earth authorities, but he expected nothing to come of it. That's how things always worked. Humans got pushed around and they had to accept it. 2 weeks later, everything changed. Park arrived at the Morning Star's home dock without warning. She wore the uniform of Earth's Colonial Inspection Service, a new organization most people had never heard of. She was young, maybe 30 years old, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Captain," she said, shaking his hand with a firm grip, "I read your report. I have some questions." "The Council already closed the case," said tiredly. They said it was a malfunction. The Council said with a cold smile, can say whatever they want. I work for Earth, not for them. Now show me your secondary cargo bay. Felt surprised. He had mentioned the secondary bay in his report, but only briefly. It was a small storage area they rarely used. During his own investigation, he had found the doors lock damaged, but with no cargo missing and no other evidence, he had assumed it was old damage he had never noticed before. Examined the door with professional care. She ran scanners over every surface. She took samples of dust and residue. She spent 3 hours in that small bay, checking everything twice. Captain, she finally said, when was the last time you used this bay? Maybe 4 months ago. We needed extra space for a large medical shipment. And you never noticed this. She pointed to scratches around the lock mechanism. Someone forced this door open, recently, very recently. Looked closer. She was right. The scratches looked fresh with bright metal showing through the paint. Held up a small container with a dark smear inside. Biological residue, not human, not from any species in our alliance. She sealed the container carefully. Captain, someone boarded your ship. They used your secondary bay for something. Then they put you and your crew to sleep and left. But why? Asked. We had nothing valuable. Our main cargo was never touched. That's what I need to find out. The expression turned grim. But I can tell you one thing, this wasn't random. Whoever did this chose a human ship for a specific reason. She spent 3 more days running tests. She brought in a full forensic team from Earth. They tore apart the secondary bay, examining every molecule. What they found made its blood run cold. Traces of biological weapons, illegal substances banned by every galactic treaty, and evidence that the Morning Star had been used to transport these materials across 3 different systems while his crew slept. They used us, said quietly. They used my ship to smuggle illegal weapons. Nodded. And they chose a human ship because they knew no one would investigate properly. The Council doesn't care about humans. They thought you'd accept the malfunction story and move on. Will the Council do anything now? Asked. With this evidence. Smile turned sharp and dangerous. I sent my complete report to Earth Command this morning. I also sent it to Admiral Lee personally. She looked at each crew member. The Council had their chance to investigate. They refused. So now, Earth will handle this our way. What does that mean? Asked. It means, said softly, that whoever did this to you just made a very big mistake. They hurt Earth citizens. They violated our property. They used us as tools for their crimes. She packed up her equipment. And now they're going to learn something important about humans. We don't forgive. We don't forget. And we always, always respond. Watched her leave. For the first time since waking up with that terrible headache, he felt something other than helplessness. He felt hope. Maybe, just maybe, Earth was finally ready to stop accepting how other species treated them. He had no idea how right he was, or how loud humanity's response would be. Admiral Han Lee read the report for the 3rd time. Each time his anger grew hotter. He sat in his office at Earth Fleet Command, a room with windows overlooking the lunar surface. The view usually calmed him. Not today. 17 ships, he said aloud. 17 human vessels violated in the past year alone. His assistant, Commander Minu, stood at attention nearby. Yes, sir. Inspector Park found the records hidden in Council archives. All of them reported as technical malfunctions. All investigations closed within hours. Han slammed his fist on the desk. They're treating us like we don't matter, like we're too stupid to notice what's happening. The Council believes we're too weak to respond, Minu said carefully. Earth only has 12 warships. They have thousands. From their perspective, we have no choice but to accept their rulings. Their perspective is about to change. Han stood up and walked to the window. The Earth hung in the black sky above, beautiful and blue. Call an emergency meeting. Defense Committee. Every department head. I want them here in 2 hours." The meeting room filled quickly. Military officers in crisp uniforms sat next to civilian officials in business clothes. Everyone looked worried. Emergency meetings usually meant bad news. Doctor arrived last. He worked as Earth's advisor, a fancy title that meant he talked to aliens all day. He looked nervous as he took his seat. "Thank you all for coming," Han began. He activated the wall display. Images from the Morning Star appeared, showing the damaged cargo bay and the biological residue. "You've all received copies of Inspector Park's report. We now have proof that criminal organizations are using our ships to smuggle illegal materials. The Council knows about it. They're helping cover it up." Murmurs filled the room. Some people looked shocked, others looked angry. "We need to file a formal complaint," Doctor said immediately. "Go through proper diplomatic channels. Request a full Council investigation. If we can prove Council corruption." "They'll ignore us," interrupted General Sarabay. She commanded Earth's special forces, and she never wasted words. Just like they ignored the 17 previous incidents. "We can't just ignore the Council," protested. "If we act without their approval, they could impose sanctions, cut us off from trade routes, isolate Earth completely." General Bay smiled coldly. "Let them try." She stood up and activated her own display. While Doctor was preparing diplomatic protests, my intelligence division was doing real work. We've been tracking these incidents for months. New images appeared on the screen. Ship manifests, communication intercepts, financial records. The amount of data made Han sit forward with interest. "The smuggling ring is run by," Bay continued, "reptilian species from the Outer Rim. They specifically target human ships because we're predictable. We follow Council rules. We file complaints properly. We wait for permission." Her voice dripped with contempt. "They know we won't retaliate." "How many ships are we talking about?" Han asked. 47 documented cases," Bay replied. "Probably more we haven't found yet. The board human vessels gas the crews, use the ships to transport contraband, then leave. Clean and simple. No witnesses who remember anything useful." "And Council officials are involved?" another officer asked. "At least 12 that we've identified. They receive payments to classify incidents as malfunctions. They block investigations. They protect the smugglers." Bay's expression hardened. "They're profiting from crimes against Earth citizens." The room erupted in angry voices. Everyone tried to talk at once. Han let them vent for a moment, then raised his hand for silence. "General Bay," he said quietly, "what would you recommend?" "We stop asking for permission," Bay said immediately. "We find these criminals, all of them. We arrest them. We prosecute them under Earth law, and if anyone tries to stop us, we go through them." Doctor looked horrified. "Admiral, you can't be considering this. Earth doesn't have the military power to challenge the Council. We'd be starting a war we can't win." "We're not starting a war," Han said calmly. "We're enforcing our own laws, protecting our own people. Every other species in the galaxy does this. Why shouldn't we?" "Because we're new," said desperately. "We've only been part of the galactic community for 20 years. We need the Council's protection, their trade agreements there." "Their protection," Bay laughed harshly. "They're letting criminals use our people as tools. That's not protection, that's contempt." Han made his decision. He had known what he would do before calling the meeting, but he needed to hear all the arguments. He needed to know his people would support him. "Here's what's going to happen," Han announced. "Earth is withdrawing from Council jurisdiction for all crimes involving our citizens or property, effective immediately. We will investigate these crimes ourselves. We will arrest the criminals ourselves. We will deliver justice ourselves." Admiral started. "I'm not finished." Han's voice could cut steel. "General Bay, I'm authorizing a special task force, Commander and his hunter unit. Their mission is simple: find the smuggling operation, Find everyone involved. Build a complete case. Then wait for my signal." Bay smiled with satisfaction. "Yes, sir. How much operational freedom does have?" "Whatever he needs. If he needs to break council laws to catch council criminals, so be it. We're done playing by their rules." Looked like he might cry. "This is a mistake. The council will respond with force." "Maybe," Han agreed. "Or maybe they'll realize that humans aren't as weak as they thought. Minu, draft a message. I want it sent to every human ship, station, and colony. Make sure every Earth citizen in space receives it." Minu nodded and began typing on his tablet. "What should the message say, sir?" he asked. Han thought for a moment. Then he spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. "The Terra Accords are now in effect. Any hostile action against human vessels or citizens will be met with immediate and overwhelming response. We will find you. We will prosecute you. This is not a negotiation." "That's pretty aggressive, sir," Minu said quietly. "Good," Han replied. "I want it to be aggressive. I want every criminal in the galaxy to know that Earth has changed. We're not asking for respect anymore. We're demanding it." The message went out within the hour. It spread through human colonies like wildfire. Some people celebrated, others worried, but everyone understood the meaning. Earth was drawing a line. The Galactic Council received the message too. Their response came quickly. A formal communication from the council chairman himself, a floating jellyfish-like creature called. Han read it aloud to his command staff. "Earth is reminded that independent military action violates Council security protocols. Any unauthorized operations will result in immediate sanctions and possible expulsion from Council protection. Earth must withdraw this dangerous ultimatum immediately." "Are you going to respond?" Minu asked. "I already did," Han said. He pulled up a message he had sent 5 minutes earlier. It contained only 3 words: "Come watch us." General Bay laughed. "The Council is going to lose their minds." "Let them," Han said. "While they're complaining about protocols and procedures, Commander will be hunting. And once we find these criminals, once we have all the evidence, the Council will have 2 choices. They can help us, or they can get out of our way." "And if they try to stop us?" asked quietly. Han met his eyes. "Then they'll learn what every bully learns eventually. The quiet kid in class gets tired of being pushed around eventually, and when he finally pushes back, he pushes hard." Across the solar system, Commander received his orders. He gathered his team of 20 specialists. Soldiers, intelligence officers, hackers, infiltration experts. The best Earth had to offer. "We're going hunting," told them. "The prey is smart, connected, and protected by corrupt council officials. They think they're safe. They think humans are too weak and too rule-following to be a real threat." He smiled coldly. "Let's show them how wrong they are." The Hunter unit deployed the next morning. They left Earth quietly, without fanfare or official announcements. Just another patrol mission, according to the public records. Nobody needed to know the truth yet. Han watched their ship depart from his office window. In his hand, he held a photo of Captain and his crew. 12 ordinary people who just wanted to do their jobs. 12 people who had been violated and dismissed. "Not anymore," Han promised quietly. "Never again." The galaxy was about to learn something important about humanity. They were patient. They were rule followers. They tried to be civilized and diplomatic, but there were limits to that patience. Lines that should never be crossed. The criminals had crossed those lines. Now they would face the consequences. Earth was done being quiet. Commander studied the holographic display floating above the table. The image showed Station, a massive structure in neutral space. It looked like a metal city hanging in the darkness, with hundreds of ships docked at various ports. "That's where the trail leads," said Lieutenant Arajin. She stood next to, her arms crossed. "We traced the biological signature from the morning star to 3 different locations. All roads point to." "What do we know about it?" asked. "It's a black market hub," answered Sergeant Wu. He pulled up more data. "Officially, it's an independent trading post. Unofficially, it's where criminals buy and sell anything illegal. Weapons, drugs, stolen goods, information. The council knows about it but leaves it alone." "Why would they ignore a criminal station?" asked another team member. Shrugged, "Some council members profit from it. Others use it as a honeypot to watch criminals. Either way, nobody enforces laws there. It's neutral ground." Smiled, "Neutral ground. That means the council won't interfere if we operate there." "It also means the station has no security protocols we need to respect," Ara added. "No warrants required. No permission needed." "Perfect," turned to his team. 20 faces looked back at him. They had all volunteered for this mission. They all knew the risks. "Here's the plan. We're not going in as military. We're going in as criminals." He explained his strategy over the next hour. The team would split into small groups. Each group would infiltrate station using different methods. Some would pose as smugglers looking to hire transport. Others would take jobs on the station as maintenance workers or dock hands. They would blend in, gather information, and slowly map the entire criminal network. "This could take weeks," warned them. "Maybe months. We need to identify every member of the organization, find their warehouses, track their ships, document their buyers. We're building a case that will put them all away forever." "What if they discover we're human military?" someone asked. "Then we adapt," said simply. "But they won't. They think humans are soft, predictable. They've never seen humans operate like criminals. That's our advantage." 3 days later, Arajin walked into a bar on station's lower level. The air smelled like chemicals and something sweet that made her nose itch. The bar was full of different species. She recognized maybe half of them. She wore simple clothes with no military markings. Her identification papers said she was a freelance cargo broker from Earth, looking for opportunities, willing to ignore legal details if the price was right. She sat at the bar and ordered a drink. The bartender, a creature with too many tentacles, served her without interest. She sipped slowly and watched the room. After an hour, someone sat down next to her, a human man with a face and tired eyes. "You look lost," the man said. Ara recognized him immediately. Sergeant Wu, already deep undercover. He had arrived 2 days earlier and gotten hired as a maintenance worker. "Just looking for work," she replied casually. "Work is dangerous here," said. He spoke loudly enough for others to hear. "Especially for humans, we're not popular with the locals." "Why not?" "Because we follow too many rules back home, makes us look weak." He finished his drink. "But if you're really looking for work, check the job boards in Section 7. They sometimes need people who can interface with human shipping systems." He left without another word. The message was clear. Section 7 was where the smugglers operated. Ara spent the next week carefully working her way into the criminal circles. She offered her services as someone who understood human security systems, someone who could help bypass Earth protocols. She made herself useful without being too eager. They noticed her eventually. They were reptilian, with green scales and sharp teeth. They moved like predators, smooth and confident. They controlled most of the illegal trade flowing through station. A named interviewed her personally. He was larger than the others, with scars crossing his snout. "Why should I trust a human?" asked. His voice sounded like gravel grinding together. "Because I know how human ships work," Ara replied. "Their security, their roots, their weaknesses, I can help you use them more efficiently." "We already use human ships very efficiently," smiled, showing many teeth. "They're perfect for our needs, slow to respond, weak. The Council doesn't care about them, perfect cover for sensitive cargo." Ara forced herself to smile back. Inside, she wanted to break his teeth. "Then I can make your operation even better, help you choose which ships to target, which routes to use. Minimize your risks. Studied her for a long moment, then he nodded. We'll try you out, small job first. If you do well, we'll discuss more opportunities. Over the next 3 weeks, the Hunter unit infiltrated every level of the smuggling operation, worked in the maintenance tunnels, planting listening devices and mapping the station's hidden areas. Ara gained more trust from the, learning their procedures and schedules. Other team members took different approaches. Some posed as buyers for illegal goods. Others offered technical services. One soldier even got hired as security for one of the warehouses. They gathered everything: financial records, communication logs, ship manifests. They identified 217 members of the organization, including 12 council officials who accepted bribes. Coordinated everything from his ship, hidden 3 systems away. The data flowed in constantly. He built a complete picture of the criminal network. It was larger than anyone had expected. They didn't just use human ships. They operated across 17 systems, moving weapons, drugs, and stolen technology. This is bigger than smuggling, told Ara during a secure communication. This is a major criminal empire. With council protection, Ara added. Talks about it openly. He says the council won't investigate human complaints. They never do. He thinks he's completely safe. Is he getting suspicious of you? No, he thinks I'm just another human willing to sell out my own people for money. He respects that. Her voice was cold. He actually said he likes humans like me. Said we're more realistic than the idealists back on Earth. Felt his anger rising, but kept his voice calm. How long until you can access their full database? 2 more days. They're moving me to a more trusted position. I'll have access to everything. Complete client lists, future shipments, every crime they've committed. Good, get that data and then pull out. All teams will extract simultaneously. We can't risk anyone getting caught before the main operation. Understood. What happens after we extract? Smiled grimly. Then we send a message to Admiral Lee, 3 words ready for Phase 2. The extraction happened smoothly. Over the course of a single day, all 20 members of the Hunter unit quietly left station. They had arrived separately over 3 weeks. They left the same way. Nobody noticed their departure. By the time anyone realized something had changed, the Hunter unit was long gone. Behind them, they left a complete surveillance network still operating. Cameras in key locations, microphones in private offices, tracking devices on important ships. The thought they were safe in their neutral station. They had no idea they were being watched constantly. Compiled the final report on his ship, 20,000 pages of evidence. Names, dates, locations, crimes, everything documented in perfect detail, everything admissible in Earth courts. He sent the message to Admiral Lee as promised. Ready for Phase 2, send the fleet. The response from Earth Command came within hours. Lee had clearly been waiting for this moment. Fleet departing in 12 hours. Stand by for coordination. Well done, Commander. But there was a second message. This one from the Galactic Council. They had intercepted the human communications somehow. The message was short and threatening. Earth is ordered to stand down immediately. Any unauthorized military action will result in severe sanctions and immediate expulsion from Council protection. You are warned. Forwarded the message to Lee and waited for a response. It came quickly. He read it and started laughing. His team gathered around, confused. What did the Admiral say? Ara asked. Showed them the message. 3 words in response to the Council's threats. Come watch us. The team broke into grins. Some laughed. Others just nodded with satisfaction. The Admiral doesn't negotiate, said. No, agreed. He doesn't, and neither do we. He looked at the holographic display showing station. In 48 hours, the Earth fleet would arrive. The criminals hiding on that station had no idea what was coming. They thought they were safe. They thought humans were weak and predictable. They were about to learn a hard lesson. Humans were predictable in one way only. They remembered, they pursued, they followed through. They had violated human ships and dismissed human complaints. They had used Earth citizens as tools for their crimes. They had laughed at human weakness. Now Earth was coming, and Earth was angry. Began planning the assault. Every detail had to be perfect. They would only get one chance at this. The galaxy was watching. Earth's reputation was on the line. But more importantly, justice was on the line. For Captain and his crew. For 17 other ships and their crews. For every human who had been dismissed and ignored. "We're not just arresting criminals," told his team. "We're sending a message to the entire galaxy. Human ships are off limits. Human citizens are protected. And if you violate that protection, we will come for you. No matter where you hide, no matter who protects you." "What if the Council tries to stop us?" someone asked. Smile turned dangerous. "Then they'll find out what happens when you get between Earth and justice. Nothing good." The Earth fleet emerged from hyperspace like an avalanche. 47 ships appeared simultaneously around station. Not just military vessels, but everything Earth could gather. Warships, patrol boats, converted cargo haulers with weapons bolted to their hulls. Even 3 experimental craft that had never been tested in real combat. But the ships weren't the most frightening part. The frightening part was what came with them. Admiral Hanley sat on the bridge of his flagship, watching the deployment unfold. Behind his military fleet came dozens of civilian vessels, private security companies, mercenary groups, bounty hunter crews, even corporate security forces from Earth's largest companies. General Sora Bay had suggested the strategy. "We can't deploy 10,000 soldiers officially," she had explained. "But we don't need to. Earth's economy runs on competition and private contracts. Let's use that." Han had offered a simple bounty. Any member of the smuggling organization captured alive would earn payment. The evidence packages provided exact names and photos. Within hours, thousands of humans had signed up, not just for money, for revenge. For every human who had been dismissed by the Council, every complaint ignored, every violation treated as unimportant. This was their chance to push back. "All ships in position," reported Commander Minu. "Station Control is trying to hail us." "Ignore them," Han ordered. "Commander, your teams are authorized to begin." 16 boarding pods launched simultaneously from different ships. They attached to station at precisely mapped locations. The pods cut through the hull like knives through paper. Within seconds, human soldiers poured into the station. This wasn't a request. This wasn't a negotiation. This was an arrest operation. Was in his office counting money when the alarm started screaming. He looked up confused. Station rarely had emergencies. The place was neutral territory. Nobody attacked neutral territory. His door exploded inward. 3 humans in combat armor rushed inside, reached for his weapon, but a stun blast hit him first. He collapsed, his body twitching. "Of the smuggling syndicate," one human said clearly. "You are under arrest for piracy, kidnapping, illegal weapons trafficking, and conspiracy to commit terrorism. You have no rights under Council law. You will be tried under Earth law. Do you understand these charges?" Couldn't speak. The stun blast had paralyzed his jaw. He could only watch as they bound him with restraints and dragged him away. The same scene repeated across station. Commander's Hunter unit led the assault with perfect precision. They knew exactly where every target would be. 3 weeks of surveillance had given them complete intelligence. They hit the warehouses first. Teams breached the storage facilities and secured the illegal goods before anyone could destroy evidence. Weapons, drugs, stolen technology, everything got and loaded onto transport ships. They hit the living quarters second. Smugglers woke up to human soldiers in their rooms. Some tried to fight. None succeeded. The humans moved with professional efficiency. No wasted movement, no hesitation. They hit the command center third. The station's corrupt security forces tried to mount a defense. It lasted approximately 4 minutes. Human combat tactics were designed for fighting other humans, the most dangerous species they knew. Against aliens who had never experienced real war, it wasn't even close to fair. Lieutenant Ara Jin personally arrested the council officials. She had spent weeks pretending to respect them, pretending their corruption was normal. Now she dropped the act. "You sold out my people," she told a slug-like as she placed restraints on his 6 arms. "You took bribes to ignore crimes against Earth citizens. You think we're too weak to respond. You were wrong." The tried to protest. "I have diplomatic immunity. The council will." "The council can file a complaint," Ara interrupted. "But right now you're coming with us. You're going to answer for every crime you helped commit, every human ship that was violated while you looked away, every complaint you dismissed." Station residents who weren't targets watched in shock. They had never seen anything like this. Humans were supposed to be peaceful, rule followers, weak. This wasn't weak. This was overwhelming force applied with surgical precision. Sergeant Wu led his team through the maintenance tunnels. They had spent weeks mapping these passages. Now they used that knowledge to cut off escape routes. Criminals trying to flee through hidden exits found human soldiers waiting for them. "Please," one begged. "I can pay. I have money, lots of money." Just smiled. "We're not here for money. We're here for justice." He activated his restraints. "You're lucky we're taking you alive. Some of my friends wanted to be less gentle." Within 4 hours, Earth forces controlled station completely. 217 criminals in custody. 12 corrupt council officials arrested. Every piece of evidence secured. Not a single human casualty. Only minor injuries on the criminal side, mostly from resisting arrest. The mercenaries and bounty hunters cleaned up the remaining targets. They swept through the station methodically, checking every compartment. A few smugglers tried to hide. They were found. A few tried to bribe their captors. The humans just laughed. One offered a chest of valuable gems to a young mercenary named. The woman looked at the fortune, then back at the alien. "You used my cousin's ship," said quietly. "The Morning Star. Captain is my cousin. You gassed him and his crew, used his ship to transport weapons." She pushed the gems away. "Your money means nothing. You're going to prison." The face showed something humans rarely saw from other species. Fear. Real fear. Admiral Han watched the operation unfold from his flagship. Everything was going according to plan. Better than planned, actually. The criminals had been completely unprepared for aggressive human action. "Admiral," Minyu said urgently, "Council fleet approaching. 15 warships inbound." "How long until they arrive?" 20 minutes. Han nodded calmly. "Continue operations. Do not engage unless fired upon. If they try to board our ships, politely refuse. If they insist, remind them this is an active arrest operation. They're welcome to watch. And if they try to stop us by force, then we defend ourselves." Han's voice was cold. "But they won't. They're coming to posture, not to fight. The council never actually fights. They threaten and sanction and complain. Watch." The council fleet arrived 18 minutes later. 15 massive warships, each one larger than any human vessel. They took up position around the Earth fleet, trying to look intimidating. A communication came through. The voice belonged to a species called a Earth fleet. "You are conducting unauthorized military operations in neutral space. Stand down immediately or face consequences." Han opened a public channel, not just to the council fleet but broadcasting to every ship in the area. He wanted witnesses. "This is Admiral Han Lee of the United Earth Fleet. We are conducting legal arrests of individuals who committed crimes against Earth citizens and property. We have extensive evidence. We have proper warrants issued under Earth law. This operation will continue until completed. Earth law has no jurisdiction here, they insisted. Neither does council law, Han replied. That's what neutral means, isn't it? Besides, the council had their chance to investigate. You dismissed every complaint. You protected these criminals. You took bribes from them. He paused. We found evidence of that too, very detailed evidence. Would you like us to release it publicly? Silence. The council fleet didn't move, didn't shoot, just sat there. That's what I thought, Han continued. You're welcome to file a complaint with Earth government. Meanwhile, we're finishing our work here. Stand by or move aside. Your choice. The council fleet stood by. They watched, they recorded everything, but they didn't interfere. General Sora Bay walked through station, personally inspecting the secured areas. She stopped in what used to be his office. The had decorated it with trophies from his crimes, ship nameplates, captain's logs, identification badges from crews he had gassed. One nameplate caught her eye. The Morning Star had kept it as a souvenir. Bay carefully removed it from the wall. This would be returned to Captain. Evidence first, but eventually returned. Her communicator buzzed. General, we found something. Warehouse 7, you need to see this. She arrived to find her soldiers standing around a large container. Inside were hundreds of identification badges, all from human crews, all from ships that had been reported as having technical malfunctions. They kept trophies from every crime, one soldier said quietly, every human ship they violated. Bay felt cold fury spreading through her chest. This wasn't just business for them, it was sport. They enjoyed targeting humans, enjoyed knowing they could get away with it. Catalog everything, she ordered. Every badge gets matched to an incident. Every victim gets justice. By the time Earth forces finished, they had more evidence than they knew what to do with. The smuggling operation had been larger and more organized than anyone suspected, and the Council's corruption ran deeper. Han prepared his final broadcast. He wanted the entire galaxy to hear this message. This is Admiral Han Lee to all galactic territories. Today, Earth arrested 217 criminals involved in a smuggling ring that targeted human vessels. We also arrested 12 council officials who accepted bribes to protect these criminals. All evidence will be made public. All trials will be open for observation. He paused, letting that sink in. Some of you think Earth is too young to matter in galactic politics, too weak to enforce our laws, too peaceful to respond to aggression. His voice turned hard. Today, we proved otherwise. We found every criminal who targeted our people. We arrested them all. We documented their crimes completely, and we did it without council permission or approval. Another pause. This is the new reality. Earth protects Earth citizens. Earth enforces Earth laws. Earth responds to attacks against our people with immediate and overwhelming force. If you respect that, we can be friends. If you ignore that, you'll end up like, in restraints, facing justice. He closed the channel. The message would spread across every system. Every species would hear it. Earth had announced itself as a real power, not just a minor member hopping for acceptance. Commander approached Han on the flagship bridge. All prisoners secured, all evidence loaded, ready to depart. Any casualties? Not on our side. Few minor injuries among the criminals from resisting arrest. Nothing serious. Han nodded with satisfaction. Send everything to Earth for processing. I want trials to begin within 2 weeks. Public trials. Let everyone see exactly what these criminals did. What about the Council? Han smiled. The Council is very quiet right now. They're trying to decide how to respond. They can't condemn us without admitting their own corruption. They can't sanction us without looking weak. They're trapped. Will they try to retaliate? Maybe, eventually, but not today. Han looked at the Council fleet still hovering nearby, watching but not acting. Today, they learned something important. Humans are done accepting disrespect. 3 months after what the galaxy now called the incident, Captain stood on the bridge of his new ship. It was also called the Morning Star, but everything else was different. The new vessel was larger and better equipped. Earth had compensated all the crews whose ships had been violated, but more importantly, the ship now had an escort. 2 military drones flew alongside, armed and watchful. Every human civilian ship received the same protection now. Its crew had changed too. Half of them were new, but 3 originals remained, still served as second officer, still worked as ship's doctor, and they all remembered what happened. Course plotted to colony, reported. Same route we took last time. The route where we got attacked, added quietly. Not anymore, said firmly. He activated the communication system. This is Morning Star to escort drones. We're beginning our route. Stay close. Acknowledged, Morning Star, came the response. We have your back. Nobody touches this ship. They began the journey. For the first week, everything was normal. They saw other ships on the trade routes. Some waved greetings, others ignored them, but everyone gave human ships more space now, more respect. On the 8th day, they received an unexpected communication. A ship requesting permission to approach. The signature showed it as a cargo vessel. Felt his hand tighten on the armrest. Had been among the corrupt council officials arrested at station, but he forced himself to stay calm. Respond, he ordered. The captain appeared on screen. He looked nervous. Captain, I apologize for disturbing your journey. I wanted to. That is, I needed to say something. I'm listening. My cousin worked for the council. He was one of those arrested. He took bribes from the smugglers. This voice was quiet with shame. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. But I wanted to apologize on behalf of my family. What happened to you was wrong. What my cousin allowed to happen was unforgivable. Studied the alien's face. The shame looked genuine. Thank you for saying that. I also wanted to warn you. Some species are angry that Earth acted without council approval. There's talk of organizing a response. What kind of response? I don't know exactly, but please be careful. Not everyone appreciates Earth's new attitude. The paused. Though many of us do, my family trades honestly. We follow the law. The criminals made it harder for legitimate businesses. What Earth did it was needed. After the call ended, sat thinking. The galaxy was changing. Earth's actions had created ripples that were still spreading. Back on Earth, Admiral Hanley dealt with those ripples every day. Some were positive. Trade agreements from species who respected Earth's decisiveness. Defense pacts from smaller worlds who wanted human protection. But some ripples were negative. 3 council species had filed formal complaints. 2 had closed their borders to human ships. There was talk of economic sanctions. Han didn't care. Earth's position was stronger than ever. The trials are going well, General Sara Bay reported during their daily briefing. All defendants have been found guilty. Sentences range from 10 to 40 years in Earth prisons. The evidence was overwhelming. How are the corrupt officials responding? Badly. They're demanding release, claiming diplomatic immunity. We're ignoring them. Bay smiled. Turns out diplomatic immunity doesn't apply when you're caught red-handed accepting bribes for criminal activity. And the smuggling operation itself? Completely destroyed. We've tracked down all their assets. 47 ships seized. 8 warehouses emptied. Every member either arrested or on the run. The crime family that ran it is finished. Han nodded with satisfaction. What about copycat incidents? Has anyone else tried targeting human ships? Not a single attempt, Bay reported. Piracy against human vessels has dropped to 0. Even legitimate security stops are done with extreme politeness now. Nobody wants to be the next example. Indeed, across the galaxy, the message had been received clearly. A small smuggling crew gathered on a rundown space station, planning their next job. They spread out charts showing trade routes and valuable cargo shipments. "The convoy looks promising," one suggested. "Medical supplies, easy target." "What about that human transport?" another asked, pointing to a route listing. "Shows they're carrying rare metals, worth twice as much as the medical supplies." The room went completely silent. Everyone stared at the one who had suggested it. Their leader, a veteran who had lost friends at, spoke with deadly seriousness. "Never touch human ships, ever." "But did you not see what happened at?" the leader interrupted. "Earth sent 47 ships. They arrested everyone. No one escaped. No one got away. They hunted down people hiding 3 systems away. I heard they kept searching for 2 months after the main raid," another crew member added nervously. "Found criminals who thought they were safe. Found council officials who thought they were untouchable. Found everyone." "Exactly," the leader said. "Humans don't forget. They don't get tired of hunting. They don't give up. You hit a human ship and they will find you. It might take a week. It might take a year, but they will find you." "The council." "The council did nothing to stop them. The council won't protect you. The council is scared of them now." The leader pointed at the human trade route listing. "That route is off limits. All human routes are off limits. We steal from anyone else, but not humans, never humans." The meeting moved on to other targets. The human convoy was never mentioned again. Park had been promoted. She was now Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council, working from their central headquarters on the planet. It was a difficult job. Many council members still resented Earth's actions but had discovered something interesting. Just as many council members secretly approved. "The corruption was worse than we knew," confided a delegate during a private meeting. "The criminal organizations had infiltrated many parts of the council. What Earth did, it exposed a problem we couldn't address ourselves." "Why couldn't you address it?" asked. "Politics, procedure. Every action requires approval from 17 committees. By the time we could investigate, the evidence would be destroyed. The criminals would be warned." The delegate's antennae twitched with something like admiration. "Earth just acted. No committees. No delays. You identified the problem and solved it." "We protect our own," said simply. "Yes, and that's terrifying to criminals, but reassuring to honest beings." The delegate leaned closer. "Between us, Ambassador, many delegates are glad Earth did this. The council had grown lazy, complacent. You reminded everyone that laws mean nothing without enforcement. Filed that information away. It was useful to know Earth had secret supporters on the council." She also maintained a secret herself. Commander's intelligence network hadn't stopped after. If anything, it had grown larger. Human agents now operated across 20 systems, quietly gathering information, watching for threats, building cases. Earth had learned a valuable lesson. The best defense was good intelligence. Know what your enemies planned before they acted. Captain completed his delivery to Colony without incident. As he prepared to depart, the Colony administrator asked to speak with him. "Captain, I wanted to thank you," the administrator said. He was an elderly human who had lived in space for 40 years. "What happened to your ship? What Admiral Lee did about it? It changed everything for us colonists." "How so?" "We used to feel abandoned out here, too far from Earth to matter. When problems happened, we dealt with them alone. The council didn't care about human colonies." The administrator smiled. "But now we know Earth cares. Earth responds. Earth protects its people no matter where they are." "That's how it should be," said. "Yes, but it wasn't always true. Now it is. That means everything." On his way back to Earth, received one more communication. This one surprised him. It was from Admiral Han Lee himself. "Captain, I wanted to personally inform you that the nameplate from your original Morning Star has been recovered. It will be returned to you, along with a full report of how it was used in evidence against." "Thank you, Admiral." No, Captain, thank you. Your report started all of this. Your refusal to accept the Council's dismissal, your insistence that something was wrong, it gave us the foundation to act. Han paused. You and your crew are heroes. You may not have fired weapons or led an assault, but your courage to demand investigation is what made everything else possible. After the call ended, sat quietly. He had never thought of himself as a hero. He was just a transport captain who filed a complaint. But maybe that was the point. Ordinary people standing up for what was right. That's what made real change. 6 months after, the galaxy had settled into a new normal. Human ships moved freely through trade routes, always escorted, always protected. Piracy against Earth vessels was non-existent. Even legitimate authorities were careful when dealing with human traffic. The Galactic Council had officially censured Earth for unauthorized military action. The vote had passed by a narrow margin. Earth's response was to publish all evidence from publicly, every bribe, every covered-up crime, every corrupt official. The Council was suddenly too busy with internal investigations to pursue sanctions. Some smaller species began seeking Earth as an ally. They had watched the incident carefully. They saw what happened when someone attacked Earth citizens. They wanted that level of protection for themselves. Earth considered these requests carefully. Admiral Lee and Ambassador Park developed a new doctrine. The Terra Accords would be offered to other species, but with requirements: respect for rule of law, commitment to justice, zero tolerance for corruption. Several species signed. Others refused, calling Earth too aggressive, too demanding, too young to set galactic standards. Earth didn't care. They had drawn their line. Anyone could join them on their side of it or stay away, but the line wouldn't move. Commander continued his work quietly. His hunter unit had become permanent. They operated in shadows, tracking threats before they became incidents. They had stopped 3 attempts to smuggle weapons through human space. They had identified 5 more corrupt officials. They had prevented 4 potential attacks on human colonies. Nobody knew about most of their work. That was fine. Didn't need recognition. He just needed to protect his people. General Bay expanded Earth's military slowly but steadily. New ships, better weapons, advanced training. Earth would never be the largest military power in the galaxy, but they would be ready. They would be competent. They would be feared. Doctor, who had argued against the operation, admitted he had been wrong. I thought we needed the Council's approval to survive, he told Han during a quiet dinner. I was thinking like a small power begging for protection. You taught me we were never small. We just acted like it. We were patient, Han corrected. Patient while we learned the rules. Patient while we built our strength, but patience has limits. They crossed the line. And now everyone knows where the line is. That's better for everyone. Clarity prevents conflicts. Han sipped his drink. The galaxy is safer now because criminals know they can't target humans without consequences. That's not aggression. That's deterrence. The story of spread through the galaxy in many forms. Some species told it as a warning, others as inspiration, but everyone told it. In bars on distant stations, veterans told younger beings about the day Earth stopped being quiet. In academy classrooms, students analyzed Earth's tactics. In criminal hideouts, bosses used as the ultimate cautionary tale. And in human homes, children learned about Captain and his crew, about Admiral Han Lee and his fleet, about Commander and his hunters, about ordinary people who stood up when wronged and the civilization that backed them completely. The lesson was simple but powerful. Humans might seem peaceful. They might follow rules. They might try diplomacy first, but they had limits. And when those limits were crossed, the response would be overwhelming, precise, and permanent. Captain stood on the bridge of his morning star, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, criminals were plotting. Somewhere, corrupt officials were taking bribes. Somewhere, someone was planning to break the law. but none of them would touch human ships, not anymore, not ever again. Because Earth had reacted loudly, and the galaxy had heard.